Hey, I'm Stephen Glosser.
And I'm Megan Pikert.
Welcome to the Going Somewhere podcast.
A podcast for anyone who finds themselves in the ambiguous adventure of young adulthood.
A season that's marked by uncertainty, change, love, heartbreak, and a whole lot of big decisions.
Join us for some real conversations as we dig into what it looks like to be a follower of Jesus in this beautiful yet complicated season of life.
We're so glad you're here, and we'd love to have you join our little Going Somewhere podcast community. Follow us on Instagram at goingsomewhere.podcast and join the conversation.
We're all going somewhere. We might as well go there together.
Thanks for listening. Let's jump into today's episode. Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of the Going Somewhere podcast, episode number 80. And I'm joined here with our wonderful co-host, Megan Pikert. What's up, Megan?
Hey, how's it going?
So good. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm doing good.
Good. I'm excited for this episode. This is kind of a big one. We're going to be talking about some big life stuff on my end, but we're not going to jump into that right away. What's going on? We just went, you and your brother, Taylor, and I, some other friends, we went to Josiah Queen, Lauren Daigle concert.
Yes, found out days later. We thought we had general admission, so we were in the back of the concert, bleacher seats. Found out general admission was also the pit next to the stage, but days later. And so I was actually wondering, we were supposed to see other friends while we were there, and I wasn't seeing them anywhere. Found out they were next to the stage.
They were all actually at the concert. We were watching people attend a concert.
Exactly.
We were so far away that there was like construction and some tractors in dirt, and I had more fun watching that than the concert. Not because it wasn't a good concert, it was just because we were so far away. I could have stayed at home and gotten the same experience.
For sure. But, we made a memory. We ate some fair food. We walked around, played some games.
Matt and I wasted $15 on Impossible Fair games, but we gave it a try. It was a good time. That feeling of watching somebody enjoy a concert, though, is just one that I don't want again. We're grateful that we got the tickets for free, though.
Right.
So shout out to that. I don't know exactly. We got it through church.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do want to say though, this is not a shot at Lauren Daigle, but Josiah Queen is somebody that I've wanted to watch or see live for a very long time. So it was very fun to even be in the same county as him, because that's as much as I can say.
Yeah. It was great. It was fun. I was kind of there for Lauren Daigle, but we didn't even stay for her, and that's totally on us, but that's okay. It was still fun.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have pushed for leaving so soon if I would have known you were there for Lauren Daigle. So I apologize for that.
It's okay.
Okay,
what else is new?
Well, you got some fun stuff going on.
Yeah, I booked a flight. I'm going to South Carolina tomorrow. Yay!
That's so fun.
I'm so excited.
Where at in South Carolina?
Great question. I've been asked multiple times. I don't know. All I know
Do you know where you're flying into?
Yes, I'm flying into Charleston.
Okay.
And I think she lives an hour outside Lexington area. That is a shot in the dark if that's it. But according to our shared notes app of everything that we're planning to do, I think she said around that area. So, it's my Delight team. So when I worked for Delight a couple years ago, we were all over the country. So everyone's from a different state, and our whole friendship is built on long distance and seeing each other once a year. And so last year they all came to Minnesota, which was so fun. This year we're all going to Kayla in South Carolina. So
that's awesome. Fun. So how many of you will there be?
There'll be 6 of us, which is half of the team, but 7 because one had a baby. So we got little Finn with us now.
Finn counts.
Finn counts. He has a t-shirt, so he counts.
What do you feel like is the thing you're most looking forward to doing?
Honestly, I'm so excited to rest. That's the that's the goal of the weekend.
Nice.
We all sleep in. We all cook food together. We don't really spend money. It's a low expense.
Did Finn get the sleep in memo?
Finn's along for the ride. Yeah. Finn will get it. But
you guys are along for Finn's ride.
Right.
That's how that usually works.
And usually we plan one fun thing while we're there. I think only thing we have really set in stone right now is Kayla actually works at a church. She's a creative director at a church. And so she's working on Sunday. So we
Okay.
kind of get to go be in her world for a couple hours. And I'm actually really excited to get to go see a different church and see her in her element.
Yeah.
And get to meet her community. And so that's kind of fun. We kind of get to bridge the gap with her. So that should be fun.
That's awesome. That'll be super fun. I'm pumped for you.
Yeah.
We just also had a couple weeks of camp. So AO1 Camp Conquers, I have been a part of it since 2018. Kind of helped get it started, and then I was the camp director, and then I've been the camp pastor, camp speaker ever since. And so we had junior and senior high this summer, and you got to come with for junior high.
I lived out a 5-year dream for a week this summer. I'm so excited.
To be a counselor at Camp Conquers?
Yes,
Okay.
to be a counselor specifically at AO1.
Yeah.
So fun. It was a blast.
Yeah. I mean, it's just to give like a little context, it's for kids that have gone through like life-threatening illnesses or severe medical or life challenges. And so it's not like a church camp, but it's a Bible camp. Like we are preaching, we are, all the counselors are Christians. So we're just really pouring into all the kids that are there. But it feels like an evangelism camp to an extent because of a lot of the conversations that you're getting started. There are some returning campers and all that stuff. But what was your experience like? Because then I can share about mine. But what was your experience first timer?
Yeah. Well, I got thrown in a little bit, but it was just because of the nature of it. So I came and subbed for another counselor that wasn't able to attend anymore.
Yeah, I think I asked you at a wedding.
At a wedding, like 48 hours before, right? And so so I missed like the counselor training and some of those things where you would learn more about your campers. So my first couple days was hectic. It was memorizing, it's a camp for medical needs and, illnesses. And so you're memorizing the schedules, memorizing symptoms, all those things. But honestly, it was so fun. I had a girl in my cabin that I met her the first day. She walks up to me. I say, "Hey, my name's Megan. I'm your counselor," whatever. And she goes, "Yeah, I don't want to be here. You don't have to talk to me." And so
I love junior hires.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, you just gotta not be offendable, nothing is personal this week. And so as far as their opinions, it's a very personal, deep camp. But in my head, I was just like locked in. I'm like, okay, now we're best friends. Like you will be my best friend.
Challenge accepted.
Yes. Yeah. And we had the best time. She was such a fun camper. She was she was checked out, but the individual time I got to spend with her was so fun and got to have deep conversations, learn more about her life. And that was just really sweet. Like she came in with a harsh attitude, but I got the biggest hug when I was leaving. And so it was like, oh man, for 1 week of my life, it's not that much. It's not hard to go there and just to be present, but it's life changing for them. Yeah. And so that was my favorite part of the camp.
That's so cool. I feel like, that chipping away, and I'm the same way of like that kid that feels checked out. Like I'm going to go towards that person more. And to see the progress over a week or just to see the openness over a week and how relationship really impacts that is so much fun. And so that's awesome. I know you had one extra camper for junior high too.
Yeah, we got a stowaway and honestly loved her, but your kids came to camp, which is so fun. How was it having them there? Yeah,
I mean, because first week was just me and then that was senior high and then second week was junior high. And we decided for me to do 2 weeks. I was we wanted to do that for a while. When I started working with the camp, when we started in 2018, it was just 1 week of camp. It was 11 to 15. And so after a couple of years, we were expanding the ages 11, 16, and then we broke it into 2. And ever since we broke it into 2, I just haven't been able to do both. So with that, Taylor and I were like, what if we brought the big kids? Like just you took the big kids, had an adventure with them. I had a week with Rowan. He went to Grandma and Grandpa's for a couple of days while she worked and all that stuff. It was so much fun having them. It was a different experience. Like I wasn't as present with all of the campers. I was much more present with like the campers that they spent time with. But it was so much fun just to have them with me. They were both really awesome, like well-behaved. Kinsley was adopted by girls in your cabin. And so she stayed over in your room twice. And Summit was my little buddy. And then he found a cabin to they just kind of took him in and yeah, it was so much fun to have them. Like I could see them having like the time of their life. And then even them being in the chapel times and stuff, it was unique. Like I never preached to them at home, and so I'm preaching and sharing these things. And it was a new perspective for me because my kids are in the front row. My kids are with the campers. They're hearing me. They're hearing these stories. They're hearing, these things. And I think I do think it gave them a new like picture. We've always prayed into when dad leaves for camp or when dad leaves for speaking. They've learned to like pray over me, and it's really fun for us when I leave, they pray with me. But this time it was unique because I think they're like, oh, this is what he does when he's there. Like this is what he's talking about. We always say, I'm telling people about Jesus. Like that's the simplistic version of it. And so they got to hear that. They got to see me pray with people. They got to see all that happen. They get to be a part of cabin groups and stuff, like hearing those stories. Can you tell the Goliath story quick?
Okay, so one of your messages was talking about David and Goliath. And so one of the discussion questions in cabin time, which Kinsley had been joining our cabin time for the past couple nights, and the question was like, what's a Goliath in your life? What are you standing against that's just so hard?
Which for a lot of these kids, it's like a medical battle, or
like it's deep. Like
yeah.
girls are sharing, like they go through hard things, junior high. And Kinsley, she goes, Megan, I have one. And I was like, amazing. And she goes, my Goliath is when my mom makes me clean my room. And it was just so pure. And I mean, everyone, props to my cabin girls, because like they didn't like, oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. Like they were like, for her, that's a Goliath. Like for a 7-year-old little girl, this is thankfully the worst thing that she's going through right now. But it was so funny. I texted you and Taylor, and I was like, just so you know, she's slaying some giants at home. So it was really funny.
She's got her slingshot. She's ready to take Taylor down.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I do feel like, I always get that perspective. That was something that before I ever did my first camp, it was a junior high camp, probably 10 plus years ago. And the person, Pastor Cal, who's just been a hero of mine, and he passed away a couple years ago. Well, he told me, he's like, just invest in them. The more time you spend with them on the field, the more opportunity you'll have at the altar. But the other thing that he said is like, their problem is your problem. Like your problem is financial matter, or strife in your marriage, or it's tension with your parents, like that it feels real and big, and it has more dollar signs, like more zeros behind a dollar sign or whatever. But for them, whatever they're going through is that to them. And so to empathize with them. So like for Kinsley, it's like, how do I empathize with that? But it's true. Like that's just something she's walking through. But the camps were great. Just, we walked through the life of David, and it was fun. We hadn't done like a series like that. So it was 8 messages kind of around his life. And so we were able to get into just like emotional life and overcoming hard things, and, sexual purity and all that stuff kind of comes out of that. So it was really fun to kind of walk through that. Senior high ended in the craziest way possible. We had like 16 people get sick in the last day and a half. So everybody was going home. People were puking like in front of everybody. It was the wildest ending to a camp. They were all separated by cabin, and nobody could hug and give high fives and stuff. I mean, it was that bad. So that was a little chaotic, but
but a core memory for them.
Core memories. Yeah, we give out awards to every camper. It's one of my favorite things we've done since the beginning. Everybody gets an award based on something their counselors see in them. So we do this big ceremony. Well, at senior high camp, the last award is what we call the Landon Slide Award. It's based on Landon Solberg, who passed away. He was a former camper, and it's a very meaningful award. The kids that get it, it's really serious. And so this was a serious moment. I was explaining the heart behind the award, and we were going to give the award out, and then it just like, and this girl just uncontrollably is vomiting. So we move everybody over to the side, and the guy that's giving out the award calls the guy by the wrong name. It was just the most anticlimactic end to camp, and but it was good.
But no less meaningful. The award stands.
Yeah, it still stands. Yeah, he deserved it.
So
but also on the way to camp, kind of another random thing, and then we'll get into the updates. But another random thing was when I was leaving, I was backing out of the driveway, and Taylor came up to my window, and she put her face up against the glass, and I like rolled up the window, rolled it down, and we just kind of laughed. And so I recorded her doing it, and she just said, "I miss you. Please come back." And we uploaded it, and that video now has 4.3 million views, which is hilarious.
Here's the thing. Taylor's made for the spotlight.
I know.
She's hilarious. And if you catch her in a moment, it's going to go viral. And it will.
It's hilarious, though. It was one of those, though, that I never uploaded a video and been like as confident as I was of like, this is a good one. And so it's kind of been fun. But the crazy thing that came out of that, and why I love social media so much, is that Taylor and I have done this monthly marriage meeting, for the last, 7 months now. Mm-hmm. And it's just been a huge game changer for us. And so we've kind of been along the way sharing it with people. I've had people ask me about it, so I created a guide and a template for it. Well, with all that, we just created a reel for it, and that reel has done really well. And over like 150 or 200-ish people have downloaded that free like resource, which is really cool, that Taylor smudging her face and the ups and downs of just like the window and stuff have created an opportunity for people to like have an intentional marriage. So it's fun. Like that's what we love about it, is we can just have fun and do silly things, and I don't take it too seriously, but there's opportunities where more people are able to experience the positive side of it. So it's been really fun to just kind of play around with those things and do some things that flop and do some things that are like, oh, that worked. So
yeah,
it's kind of been fun.
So fun. When you guys posted that video, I got a text from one of our mutual friends, and she just goes, "I've watched this reel 80 times. And then I hadn't seen it yet, so I go and look at it. And then this friend had reposted it to her story. Like, she was committed. She was like, "This is the funniest thing I've ever seen." So you guys had a fan page, because it was hilarious. But it's so awesome that like marriages are potentially being impacted. Like you guys, that's not abnormal for you guys to have an interaction like that. And I think that's fun. Like, you guys didn't like stage it, it's just genuinely how you guys live your lives, which is pretty fun.
Yeah. It is. So that's been fun. But that's a little bit of like the day to day. I think we should jump into it.
Let's jump in.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you are going through some fun updates and life changes. And so we want to give the listeners what they want, right? They want to know what's up with Steven. So
the way you said like life changes, it's like I'm growing armpit hair.
Oh.
Like you're going through some big life changes. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You're growing facial hair now. Just kidding.
LOL. Nothing like that.
Yeah, okay.
So would you want to share? Let's jump into it. What's going on? What's exciting? What's coming up ahead for you?
Yeah, we announced at church on Sunday that my time on staff at Northview is coming to an end at the end of July. And so, yeah, we just kind of that's where things are at now. And so it's kind of crazy, but yeah, we will be stepping down from that position here at the end of July, but I'll be kind of stepping into a variety of things. And so I'll be working, and we'll kind of come back to this, but I'll be working at Valley Christian, doing some of their marketing, social media, and then working with local church partnerships. And then also kind of the big driving factor in this is getting to step into some more speaking and writing. And so the role with Valley is just something that's creating a lot of space in our life for some of the things that we've really felt a strong calling to, kind of some things that were like in there for a long time. We just didn't know when they were kind of coming out. But that's kind of the quick overview.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What was that process like as you guys just kind of felt a nudge that maybe something was shifting and started to pray into that process?
Yeah. And I mean, I think there's like a level of, there was an aspect of it that it wasn't like a sudden shift in the sense of like all of a sudden we just felt like this urge to do something different. It kind of, and again, just adding on one thing, part of this whole thing is we're staying at Northview, we're staying at the church. I'll be able to serve in a lot of the same capacities on Sundays and hosting and helping with Growth Track and doing some teaching with NVLC and stuff. So I won't be leading any of that. I won't be on staff. I don't have any roles other than just being a volunteer, which we're super excited about, to raise our kids there. So that's been one of the most fun parts of this, is just like, as much as it is a big change, I've been there for 4 years, 3 full time, but just to like, it's our community, it's our church. We felt coming on staff at Northview when Pastor Dave and Alyssa became the lead pastors, that was much more of like, we've always felt like this is our church. When we moved back, it was an awesome way that we could come and support them. We started out part-time, went full-time about a year later. So that was kind of, hey, this is our church. We want to invest in it, and this is the opportunity right now. But even prior to that, like, there was in our hearts, since being in New Jersey, we just had more space to dream. And a lot of things that God was laying in our heart were in relation to intentional living and just how we do family, how we do parenting, how we do marriage. And then also just things like writing and speaking, things that I've really enjoyed doing when I've had the chance. But it always felt like God was pulling us in a direction where that would become, right now, it's been a very small percentage in the background, very, very background, but we just felt like that was where God was leading us towards. It was just, how do we get there? And so, to answer your question, how did it all come to be kind of deal? When we started out full time a few years ago, those were conversations we were having with the lead alls. Was just like, hey, this is something that we really feel is in our hearts. We don't know how it looks. Is this 5 years, 10 years? We have no idea. We're committed to this church. We're committed to this community. And so for us stepping into that was kind of our attitude and our perspective. So in the background for these last 3 years, not like in a hidden place, but I've been writing my book. I've been working on different resources that I've been able to put out, year-end reflection, or the monthly marriage meeting, and the end of year reflection, the monthly reflection stuff. So a lot of stuff that I've been doing for myself, I've kind of made public to other people, and I've had different opportunities to speak at events and different things. So I've kind of been moving forward with those, dreaming about potential resources down the road and courses and events and all these different things. So those have all kind of been like in journals and in notebooks and things that I think about a lot that keep me up late at night sometimes. But it was always just kind of don't know when this is. And so I think that's why I say it wasn't like a sudden shift or a sudden change. It was just those dreams, those things were always kind of hot on the press. It was just like relegating them to a place of, this is your space. 6 a.m. is your place to shine. 8:30 p.m. is when you can kind of be in the mix because of all the other responsibilities. So that was kind of the background. And then there's obviously some things that kind of moved it to the foreground. Mm-hmm. I don't know if we want to talk about that right now.
Yeah. Well, I think that like this is common. I don't think you're the first person to like have dreams, but also have a 9 to 5, And so I think like just speaking as a young adult, like I think that there's things that I want to do that maybe I just know are on the back burner right now. And so I'm waiting and believing that like there's something that's going to come of that, but I just don't know how, I just don't know when. And I think that's common. And so how were you able to kind of hold the tension of that, of like carrying long-term dreams, but also still like, I'm where my feet are and I'm planted here and I'm stewarding this season really well, knowing that there's a potential for something else one day.
Yeah, no, that's good. I think one thing that I've learned about myself is that I think in every season there's going to be the background things that pop up, like I know that stepping into this new season where some of those background things go to the foreground, there's going to be new background things that try to peek into my life, because that's just how I'm wired. And so one, just kind of coming to grips with that of like, and I've had mentors that have spoken into that in the past of like, you don't have to deny the things that God is putting in you. You just have to put them in the right place. And so for me in this past season, it's been my roles and responsibility with the church, and obviously my family. That's an always one. Like those come first. And so like those balls can't get dropped while trying to carry the other ones. And so that's, in a lot of ways, those balls, the book it's taken longer than I expected it to. Some of the things that I've been working on aren't published and real yet, because I just haven't had the bandwidth, and I don't view that as a bad thing. Like I see that as like, this is what this season was. And so a lot of those things, that tension it is a challenge, because there's a temptation to just burn the wick at both ends, to dedicate every morning and every night to those things. But we really fought for rhythms that we had established in a quieter season of our life, where like weekly date nights and bedtimes with kids, and even some of our morning routine of getting kids to school. I do a life group at 6 a.m. I spend time with the Lord. Like, those things couldn't be subbed out for those things. So it was a challenge of, sometimes your brain goes to the place that it's not supposed to. And so but I think several years ago, I call it leave tomorrow, stay forever. It's just this mindset that I've developed of every season, live as if you're going to leave tomorrow, but also as if you're going to stay forever. And what I really mean by that is, when you are in a job and your mindset is you're going to leave tomorrow, what I mean is to hold the positives of that. So leaving tomorrow means, I need to create a plan. I'm going to pass this on to somebody. I'm not going to be the one to lead this forever. I needed to detach my personality from this, which is hard, but like this isn't about me. This is about something bigger, because I'm gone tomorrow. So it causes you to take better notes. It causes you to delegate. It causes you to bring people in to different conversations. And so I think that, not even just with this job, but the last 8-9 years, having that mindset of, well, I'm going to do it as if I'm going to leave tomorrow, it really amplifies how you do it. And then stay forever is, well, I'm committed. I am in this for the long haul. I'm going to die in this role. So what does that mean? Well, it means that I'm going to pray about it. I'm going to, see God about it. I'm going to take it very seriously. If I'm staying in this role forever, that means I want to create systems that work effectively. I want to, really have the persistence in it. And so I think carrying that mindset through the last few years, sometimes it was easier, sometimes it was harder, but I think throughout the time, it always made it a lot easier to go, like, if I'm here for 1 year or 15 years, I know I'm going to give everything to it. And I care about this church more than my time here. And I care about the lead-alls, our leads, more than my time working for them. I care about the staff that I work with more than the time that I'm on staff with them. So for me, it's like, well, until I'm done here, I'm giving everything that I have here. I don't want to allow like the drift to happen and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so good. And as someone that's like worked with you on different projects, as much as sometimes the way you organize things really confuses me, yeah. But at the same time, you have notes for everything. And so I'm like, if I have a question, it's somewhere here, And I think that and this is language that you've talked about since my first day here of like, okay, how do you leave tomorrow, stay forever, like mentality with everything that you approach. And I think it's really helped the way that we run projects and the way that we plan things. Like, there's just records for everything. And that's so intentional because you're stewarding a job, like this isn't your identity. You are not the best discipleship pastor like God is. And so you get to steward and resource as best as you can. And so anyway, not to just diss you on your organizational skills, but
no, it's true. But even beyond that, like there's been times, when you actually get to that point and somebody asks you a question of how do you do this? And you're like, oh shoot, that's all in my brain. So there are times that happens. So you're not going to get it perfect. I think it's just given me guardrails to avoid, like, especially when you do have really passions, callings, dreams that kind of are bursting at the seams. It keeps you from drifting into like, I'm not going to care about where I'm at now. So I'm just going to give minimum effort. I'm just going to kind of drift along. I'm not going to care about my work. I'm not going to care about the outcomes. I'm not going to worry about what happens. Like it allowed me to stay focused on that. So I think there's the high end of like, it can really create a transition easier, and it has. But at the same time, it just keeps your heart in the right place. And I think that's the thing, is like being faithful and obedient and being honoring and some of those things. It's not always like the easiest thing to do, but at the same time, you do it because I guess it's priority. It's the thing that I said yes to last. And if you say yes to something, you give it everything you have until it's no longer the thing that's in front of you. And so on August 1st, I won't give everything I have to my role at the church. You know, it's not mine anymore. And so it's not the thing that God has invited me into. It's not the responsibility that he has placed on me after that point. But before that point, until that point, it still is. And so it looks different now than it did 6 months ago, because now it's just all about, okay, pass it on and set everything up and try to be as helpful as I can be. But same mentality.
Yeah. Yeah. You alluded to it a little bit ago, but what made now the right time? Kind of what has fallen into place that this feels like a good time to kind of make the leap on some dreams that you've had?
Yeah. I mean, I think one thing we've talked about recently on the podcast is hearing God's voice. And I don't think we've done like a full-on episode, but it's just been a theme that's come out of different conversations. And one of the things that we've talked about, and we're talking about it at church too right now, is if you want to hear God's voice in the big things, you have to hear him in the little things. Like, why would we know if it's him or not if we haven't learned how to hear his voice on the day-to-day side and respond to his voice, and you know, the little convictions, the little thoughts, and praying into those things, inviting God into those things. So I had a mentor a long time ago that I was dealing with the transition from Chi Alpha and whether or not I was supposed to go to take on the new job with AO1, all that stuff. And he just simply said, like, you know how to hear God's voice, like, trust it. And I had been hearing it. I had known what I was supposed to do. It was just scary. It wasn't comfortable. It was new, all those things. But that was kind of a reminder for me of all of this relationship with God has, you know, created the space to hear his voice. So timing, it was always kind of a prayer of, not like a daily prayer of like, God, when is it? You know, it was more of just thematically. It was just, God, you know our hearts, you know our desires. We feel like you've put these things in. So it's not as much of an if, but it's a when and how. And with that comes, how do I steward it now? You know, and so writing the book and some of the things, like, I haven't just fully turned those things off, but the timing part of it was just us praying through that and having different conversations with different mentors of just like them kind of affirming those callings. And, you know, I think that's important. But it was like in April where Taylor had a conversation at her work, which is Valley Christian. So it's where I'll be kind of doing some stuff with them. But I think it was kind of a year-end review type thing and just talking about life stuff and what our dreams were, kind of 5-year plan type thing of like, where do you guys see yourselves? And for her, it was just easy of like, yeah, I think long-term Stephen would love to be in a place where he's writing and speaking and developing resources, and some of those things would become a business, all that stuff. Well, the CEOs who we've known for a long time, they just kind of invited in a conversation. It wasn't like a formal thing. It was just like, hey, you know, we gathered is just that you have some dreams and passions and some callings. And they basically were just like, we have some high needs. We're growing. It was just announced, but Valley bought the Chuck E. Cheese building across the parking lot, and they're expanding into that with pediatric care and their OT, PT stuff. It's all growing, and the CEOs have done a lot of managing of the marketing and all that stuff. And so they just said, we think you could take on a huge part of what we need and our church partnerships, and you get that as a pastor. Would you ever consider coming on in a capacity to help oversee some of that? And that kind of grew into, you know, it's a, you know, contractor job. It's not hourly salary. I'm not an employee of Valley. I'm self-employed. And the whole thing for them was like, we get something from you that is really valuable, but also we create some space for you and give you the flexibility to be able to start putting some things in the background to the foreground. So those were kind of the conversations, and that was kind of the prayer of like, well, God, we've been praying of like, we don't know when and how, but a word that we had used is like, we need a runway of like the ability to go there. And that was a word that they used in one of the meetings, was like, this can be kind of a runway for you. We'll just set it up as a contract that we revisit every period of time. We'll revisit it and see, is it something that you need to back down on so you can do more of your stuff? But we think it'll be a win-win. And so a lot of that was just like, oh man, this feels like God's timing and feels like God's opening this door. Not that I disagree with people that knock on doors and pound them open. It was just one of those that the door opened and it was just like, is this the one we're supposed to walk through? So, and I've had we've talked about it, you and I have, but there's been other times where a door opens and it's a job offer out of nowhere, whether it was a church related job, a ministry related job, or a secular industry job. Like that's happened before in the last 3 to 5 years, but for whatever reason, there's just a hard check or there's like it's just a no, you know? And so this one, that didn't feel that way. So I think that's part of that discernment process is like, I also know what a no feels like. I also know what a desired thing is a no. And I've had to deal with like, oh, there was other things that were kind of surfaced of like, oh, that, and it just didn't feel right or it didn't pan out or whatever. And so I think that's also taught us how to navigate it. And that's what, there was so much peace in all of this. And talking to a couple different mentors and things of just the confirmation of it. And along the same time as those like practical doors are opening with Valley, there's also things happening on the other end with just kind of where the book was, conversations that came out of that, things, business ideas that people were interested in helping pursue and helping come alongside. And just all these things were happening all at once where it felt like there was a ton of momentum and excitement on this end, which kind of fueled like all right, God, this is in your hands. You're the provider. And so we don't know how you're going to provide. But with value is kind of a flexibility and stability, and God's hand just seemed to be upon it. Mm-hmm. Long answer.
Yeah.
But that's, I guess, what we're trying to do here today. Because There's not like doing it at church in 1 minute, or I'll write something or post something. But I guess that is what this is about. So I don't feel bad.
Yeah, don't feel bad. It's good. And you said a lot of really good things, but part of your new role, new schedule is a lot more focus on your book, which is awesome. And you have an exciting update as of today, right? Do you want to share?
Yeah. Well,
too late. I already asked you to share.
No, just to back up, like this whole new season, like Valley is still will be the first priority. It's the really kind of unique thing in it is they're one of our partners. They're as a church. Taylor's worked there for most of our marriage outside of when we moved away. And I've seen a counselor there, and it's been really life-changing for me. And we've had Summit, see a PT or OT there, and it really transformed a lot of things in him. And so for us, Valley's been like this passion thing. You know, I remember meeting with the CEOs, and one of the things that they said was just like, we know this is a means to an end. Like, we know that we're just creating the space for you to do the things you really want to do. And I corrected them. I'm like, no, I don't feel that. Like, I feel like this does create space that and bandwidth of like how I can manage a schedule. I'll be working remotely, all those things. So yes, but the first priority is still the roles that I'm really excited about stepping into those. They're a little bit different, but at the same time, I get to tell their story. I get to platform their providers. I get to shine a spotlight on the amazing work that they're doing. So I'm pumped about that. But yeah, so now ask your question.
Yeah, well, now just with the new schedule and what is expected, you have bandwidth, like you said, to kind of give some thought and perspective to some of these things. So you are working on your book, and that's been kind of a long time coming.
Yeah.
But you have exciting updates, and you're
yes.
trucking along, which is awesome. So where are you at right now?
Yeah. So when all this kind of came into view, one of the things we said is we want to be done with the book and it be out of my hands, like by the time all this started, so that wasn't like still in my brain, because it's a big thing that I carry. But today, a few hours ago, I finished the last words of the conclusion. So every word that's in the book is in the book. I mean, we're editing. Now we'll move to external editing. This was an edit. So, but the one thing I hadn't written was the conclusion. So today I finished the conclusion. I literally wrote the last words that are in the book, and yeah, pretty crazy and surreal.
So exciting. How do you feel? Like a 10-year long, it's not over yet. Like it's still a long time, kind of, but still got a process to go. But how does it feel?
I don't know because, I mean, here's the honesty on this whole thing is that writing a book is been one of the most fun and fulfilling things that I've ever done. Like I feel fulfilled in writing it no matter what comes next. Like doing what I did today was the real goal, you know. Now I'm going to get emotional because it's actually processing right now. This morning I was trying to finish it and the kids came out of the room, and the whole book is about like maximizing the mundane and owning the ordinary. And they came out of the room and I got frustrated because they were interrupting my writing, and I got frustrated with Taylor. And so I don't feel awesome because the whole point of this book is to recognize that those aren't interruptions, that those are the adventure, that those are the best parts in life. And so I've already apologized to Taylor and texted her and all that stuff. But I think I put in the last words like right before I started working for the day. And so, yeah, this is the first time it's actually like dawning on me, and it doesn't feel like I thought it would in that sense. But I think that that's the whole point is that life is challenging, and there's all these things, and we're not going to talk about all the contents of the book today. That's another episode later. But yeah, I do feel a great sense of relief and purpose in it because, yeah, the goal was always to do it regardless of I used to say, even if my mom and grandma are the only ones that read it, and my grandma died. So as long as my mom reads
and
it.
Taylor.
Yeah. But I mean, the book was even like an idea before she was an idea. And that's the crazy thing of all this is, 2009, 2010, I started a blog called Everyday Adventure. And it was just a place for me to write out my random thoughts. And that stemmed out of a kind of a conviction and a calling that kind of became the book. My first blog post on that was about a tailless squirrel that lived under the dumpster outside of her apartment. I just found the blog, and so it's kind of fun. But
checks out.
The idea, though, that I sat with it for about 15 years and tried to live it out, and then to like write it and put a lot of effort into it. It was a lot of, man, this is crazy. I wasn't expecting this, but yeah, a lot of late nights, a lot of early mornings, a lot of Fridays when Taylor and I just had an agreement, like this is how we're going to do this. And a lot of weekends and things, just time that, you know, could have done other things, but just this has felt like a calling and something that God's really put in our hearts. And to have Taylor's support of like, hey, you know, this is our thing. We're going to step into this together. And she hasn't written a word into the book, but she's like the heartbeat of it beyond Jesus, but her and the kids are. Along the way, she kind of became the person I was writing it to. And just as we experienced all of the things of living this life and how hard it is sometimes to fight for like a more meaningful life when the pull is to just drift into mediocrity, into complacency. Like we fought together to live this message. And so to put the final words where I'm actually like telling somebody like, hey, you can do this, is really fun and really, really emotional, as you can tell.
Mm-hmm. That's okay though. I feel like I've either heard or I'm making up on the spot right now that I feel like authors have said this, that they've realized that they're the audience of their book. Yeah. Like they had to write it because it's the book that they needed. And I've heard advice or people speaking, like authors speaking on like to other authors of like, should I write it? Should I not? And they said, if it's the book that you wish you had, it's worth it every time. And so I think you're living in that too, of like this started out as like, oh, like I think this is a good idea. Like I think I want to speak on this, but then to actually now be a dad and have to figure out the transitions of all of that. And I think that, or like how to live in the mundane moments and make those, you know, life to the fullest and not just life. So.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it's what's crazy is like growing up as a kid, I would write stories. I would write like not for school, but just for myself. I would they're mainly like the behind the scenes of a like a teenage baseball prodigy and like what
Nice.
life is like for them, you know.
It was your dream.
Yeah. But writing for me always came very natural, and writing in writing short stories or writing children's books when that was part of school and stuff, like those things I lit up. Like I went down the path of doing journalism, and I wrote for a school paper, and like just writing was something I didn't realize it at the time, but it was writing. It wasn't writing sports. Like that's what I thought. But and so yeah, to put all this into words, and then to wrestle with it, and to fail at it, and to win at it, and all the things are what makes me so excited about it. Is it's what made it really hard to finish, because it felt like it was always unfinished. Like it always felt like I was learning something new. I could practice it better. I could tell a better story about it. So I'm really excited that about a year ago, it was just like, just get it done. And I feel more confident than ever that there will be many more books like that. I feel like this is a huge part of what I want to do. And that we feel like God's opening the door for us to do in this season, which is super exciting. So there's been times where I'm writing and I'm like, oh, I wish I could add this. And it's like, put that in the next book category. And so it's been really fun to walk through this. The next steps are tomorrow. Actually, I'm meeting with somebody that's going to do edits on it. He's a good friend of mine, but he's a writer, or, and he is an English teacher, and grammar and all that stuff is his specialty. And then from there, we'll hire a copy editor, like who does it for books. And during that process, I'm going to start working with graphic designers and try to start figuring out the cover and the inside. And there's some like companion stuff that's going to come with it, of just different things that people can do alongside the book. So working on those things are kind of the next steps. But the best place to kind of follow along the journey is I do have a website called stevenglosser.com/book. And so on that, you can find, or you can sign up for an email update that just puts you on a list where whenever there's big updates, I send them out. And so I'll be sending out an update this week here about where we're at now. But that's just kind of where I'll keep everybody in the loop. Eventually we'll do a launch team, and we'll have some other things, other opportunities like that to be a part of the book and to be a part of it coming out. Still hope for it to be before the end of the year, but holding that with an open hand based on what is best. Some of this stuff is new. So yeah.
It's so exciting. You guys are just entering an exciting time and getting to kind of walk in a lot of dreams and desires that God's placed on you and Taylor. And I think that's so fun. And it's fun to see you guys just start walking in a new direction that you feel like God's put on your hearts. And so if you could speak to, another young adult that feels similarly in a similar season, what would you say your biggest takeaways are from this whole experience, and just like the transition that you're entering into?
I think one of the things that I've kind of stood by for a long time is this idea of follow Jesus, not your dreams. And the whole premise of that, it really comes from, but seek first his kingdom, Matthew 6:33, and all these things will be given to you as well. But I think if our hearts are first on him and just pleasing him and living for him and walking with him, it's way easier to hear his voice and to see where he's leading. And so I never felt like any of the delays were a sign of like, this isn't the next thing or whatever. I just think it was an invitation to remain faithful and obedient where I was at. And again, you don't always get that perfect, but at the same time, like, just be faithful where you are and embrace where you are, the season you're in. Like, it's not to be despised or rushed past. There's something that God wants to put there for you. And that's why, like, me looking back at these last 3 or 4 years at the church, there's zero part of it that's like, that was 3 or 4 wasted years of this dream. Like, no, that's where Jesus had me. It's what his assignment was for that chapter of my life. And, all this transition is just like, the people that I was telling before we told the church are people I didn't know before this role. Like, it was deep relationships were formed through Alpha, through life groups, through NVLC, through all the roles that I've had, the staff on our team. Like, all of that wouldn't be that. This podcast was an idea that we had when I was still part-time, and one of my roles was kind of overseeing some young adult stuff. And I was like, oh, this would be a great way to kind of connect with young adults. And so like this podcast, and we just interviewed the guy that did, the Bible is funny. It's a game. Like all of these things that have come out of it are a product of just saying yes to whatever God has for you in that moment. So just keep saying yes to God. Follow Jesus, not your dreams. He'll always bring you into a place that, in Ephesians, it talks about the immeasurably more, he'll give you more than you ask, hope, or imagine. And I think that's like the favor that's on this season. The favor that we feel is on the book, the favor that we feel that's on just this new chapter of our life, and with Valley and just with everything. It just feels like that's again what confirms like that God's in it and he's with us in it, and that it's him and it's not us, is because like we just feel that intense level of favor and gratitude, so yeah, I think that's what I'd say. I'm just so grateful for this last season, being able to do ministry with friends, being able to, you're part of this whole story too, Megan. Like you're in our life, and we host a podcast together, and you, unofficial nanny, because of this last season of our life, and God converged paths and put all of us together, and that's just the beauty of following him and being faithful to him, is that it's unexpected things that come out of it. And so, yeah, we're stepping into this with a lot of excitement, but that doesn't take away from like the gratitude that we feel for this last season, and also a gratitude to be able to remain in the community and to be a part of the church and to continue to build those relationships and stuff. That's huge to us, that the church is not a job. It never was. It was something that we tell our kids a lot. And so we're excited to kind of step into a season where churches continue to be the body that we're a part of, and the people we do life with. And it's messy and it's not always perfect, but to show them like, we don't go to church because dad works there. Like church is like, that's because we love Jesus, and that's what he calls us to do. And so, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm excited for you. I'm pumped, and let us know when this book is released, because it's going to fly off the shelves.
Yeah.
I'm believing that. And every listener, we now have a duty. We're obligated. It will fly off the shelves.
Oh, thanks, Megan.
I'm excited for you. It'll be fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I know this conversation, going into it was kind of, the idea was talking about this, but as we kind of land the plane, like what are some takeaways? Not what are you taking away from me, but no, just in general, like what's going on in your mind and in your brain as we're talking about this?
Yeah, so much, but I think one of the biggest things that working with you and being mentored and working here just at Northview too has helped me realize is like, it's people over progress every time. And I think that's just something that I've struggled with, to focus on the project, focus on the task. But really living a life for Jesus it's people centric and it's people focused. And I think, the way that you've led and the way that, how I've been connected with you and Taylor has really shown me that. And I've just been really grateful for it. And, you're not going anywhere. We're still all hanging out. We're still going to concerts, we're still doing the fun, everyday, mundane things, like I'm still going to watch your kids for your monthly marriage meeting, like it's still all there. And so I think, that makes me really excited. And I love you guys, and I'm grateful for, just the past 2 years. I've grown a ton. You guys have walked through me as a young adult with just young adult decisions, which is so funny. Sometimes I'll talk to Taylor and she's like, man, that is not on my radar anymore, And so it's been really fun. And also, exciting to dream up what the new season is as far as like Northview staff, like we're excited and God's doing something cool here as well. And so it's exciting to send you off and to believe that God has so much in store in this next season for you guys, and also know that the same is true for us too. And that, we'll keep trucking along and keep, yeah, it's been fun though, but that's what I got to say about it. You know.
For
Can't
sure.
give you too many compliments, otherwise you.
No, that wasn't what I was fishing for either. So.
Yeah, I know.
But cool. Well, listener, I know we just appreciate you being on this journey, and you know, we're excited for future episodes and just some ideas of what those things are going to look like. And we don't know for sure how the podcast is going to play out, you know, as part of all of this. We're going to continue trucking along, and so yeah, we're not going anywhere. In fact, we're all going somewhere. We might as well go there together. We'll see you next time. Love you. Happy listening.
See ya.